Hey you guys, it's Nathan Collins back with another video. I am someone who posts videos on YouTube teaching you how to create meaningful media. And without further ado, let's jump into how to use Photoscape X, the pro guide, teaching you from beginning to expert. Now, this is going to be a lengthy video, and I want you guys to really know that I'm here to help you. I want you guys to ask questions in the comments. Also, if I am teaching and it just becomes too over your head, definitely go back and check out another video that I made, which is the Photoscape X Beginner's Guide 2020. And I'm going to be updating them, of course, every year. But this is how to use Photoscape X, and this is the Pro Guide. So to begin, let's just run over what Photoscape X is, all the different tabs, all the different features, and then teach you some of the fun things in Photoscape X that I've learned over using it for about 8 years. Beginning with Photoscape X, I believe it was 2.7, and then going all the way to where we're at today, which is Photoscape X. So let's begin. Photoscape X, on their homepage, you're able to go in here and look at different tools that they've made and also different videos that they've put together to highlight some of the different things, whether it's some text or 3D effects or whether it's removing blemishes, things like that. When you click on the thumbnail, it'll take you to their website where you're able to watch a video, and it shows how to use that specific tool. Now, unfortunately, they don't have audio that goes along with it, going and telling you how to use each and every step by step, but it's a good visual illustration of how to use Photoscape X. Now, with that just out of the way, let's jump into actually where you go and make some edits to some photos. So here we are in the viewer. It's a very intuitive viewer. I've raved about it, and the reason why is because you have over here folders, you have some favorites, and then you have both, where you're able to go in and you're able to find the photos that you're looking for. So say, oh yeah, my external hard drive, looking in here to photos, into raw photos, into wedding photos. But what's awesome is that if you just are in your favorites tab, you're able to just see the folders that you favorited, and you click into those and you're able to find your photos that you have and you've put into that folder, so you can find them very quickly. So here are photos of my wedding last year. It was the most amazing day of my life. There was so much craziness leading up to it. It went off super well, and I am happily married to this day. So with that all being said, I enjoy editing these photos because they are also photos that I didn't take, so I can be as critiquey as I want. Nonetheless, in the viewer, you're able to click on a photo and you're able to see it. You're able to go here to this slider and zoom in and see what I think of this photo. I'm able to move around and see what's going on with it. And also what's neat is on the bottom row here, you're able to see, of course, the name of the photo, but you're also able to see what camera took the photo, what was the settings of the camera at the time of taking the photo. And what's neat is that you're able to come down here and you're able to go and flag it as a photo that you want to keep or a photo that you want to remove. You can also give it a star rating from 1 star all the way up to 5 stars. And what's awesome is that when you are just looking at all these photos, you can see, oh, this one has 5 stars on it. Oh, this one may be flagged. So like if I go over here and I go to flags and I say flagged, then it will have a checkbox next to it, so I know that, oh, I flagged this photo. Now what's awesome is you're able to go into here, up here at the top, and you're able to go and say, hey, I only want this type of file type. Oh, I only want this, I only want that. But what's awesome is I can go over here and say, oh, show me only the photos that I flagged. And there it is. There's the one photo that I flagged. Now what's awesome is that if you go into here and you go into custom, you're also able to look up the rating, and you're able to do all these different searches, but you're also down here able to just look at rating and say, I only want 4 star, 3 star, 2 star, 1 star. I click on that and I only get those that are in that specific range of stars. So that's something that's helpful, that really helps you keep everything organized with the folders, the favorited folders, and the star ratings, and being able to flag your photos. Nonetheless, let's say we take one of these photos. Here's my friend Stefan putting shaving cream all over my vehicle. So if you want to edit this photo, you can either tap down here to hit edit, where you can take it into the editor, or you can just click over here to the editor and you could drag it in. So for the sake of illustration of what this editor can do, we're just going to click over here to editor with nothing in it. Here's what you can do. On here, you can either drop your photo in, so I can, drop it in. I'm going to hit close because I'm actually not going to edit this specific photo. You're also able to go to open, find your photo in your just file finder, and over here you're able to hit new. This is going to make just a plain Jane, just white background, and it's going to show you, hey, this is just a size of just some kind of a border. And what's awesome is that in here, when you hit new, you're able to go to these presets and see, oh, this is the size of an Instagram photo. This is the size of an Instagram story, a size of an Instagram profile, a YouTube profile, YouTube thumbnail, Twitter header. Photoscape X has done their homework and they put this stuff in so they're able to quickly, do this. So if you're making some kind of a YouTube thumbnail, you're able to click on this. You know that it's that exact size. You're able to, and I'm just going to kind of jump in randomly and say, hey, this is something I really like to do. I jump into here and I'm like, oh, I'm going to select this photo. I'm going to go and zoom it in. I'm going to go put it over here, or I'm going to do this and that. And when I save it out, it's only going to save that rectangle shape and those teal or blue lines that show where it's going to be. Those are superimposed, and I can of course take them off, I can put them on. But what's awesome is I'm able to do that, so I'm able to see what the final product's going to look like before I hit save. And what's awesome, guys, is you're also able to hit save project, which means you're able to save the entire project and you're able to click and go back to it as if you hadn't ever saved like the final project. You're able to go back and continue to work on and move these images around, even though you had to step away from your computer and save that as a project. So that's one thing that's super cool, being able to just hit new and be able to put that stuff in. There's also more, and that's where you're able to do some other stuff. But basically, you're able to say, oh, just edit the next photo, and oh, edit the next photo. If you were just going photo by photo by photo, you can do it that way. So with that all being said, let's just drop that photo into the editor so we can see what kind of tools we have in this editor. So what's awesome is we're able to go into here and we're able to rotate, and works pretty quickly. We're able to rotate it just more precisely. We're also able to go and straighten the photo as well, and that's helpful if you're trying to get a certain dramatic effect or something, or trying to straighten it off of his tie or something like that. What's also nice is you're able to flip horizontal, so then you're able to see it from the complete mirrored perspective, or like upside down. But what's awesome is you're able to sometimes just move the content and just flip it. So if I'm saying, oh, I wanted text over here, or if I'm doing some kind of graphic design thing, then I don't have to be stuck with him always on the right side of this image. Next we have resize. Resize is saying, hey, this image is super big. Maybe I'm just wanting to post it on something and it needs to be a certain size. I do this a lot for my website, nathancollins.com, and I have to go and limit some of these so they can load quickly in the web browser. So if I go in and I say, oh, I want to resize this image, and I only want it to be 15 pixels by 10 pixels, which is of course super crazy small, I'd have to zoom super in, and it's crazy blurry because it's trying to condense everything into just like 10 or 15 pixels. Nonetheless, it's helpful if you're doing a specific size for a specific reason. And over here we have the crop tool, and in the crop tool you're able to go and select the ratio you want, whether that's 16 by 9 or just a 1 by 1 square. You're able to crop whether it's just his face, whether it's just the can, whatever you're wanting to do, and just hit enter, and that will crop there. You can always hit undo, but the crop tool is super helpful to get just the exact kind of crop that you want. You can also do different crops where you're going to do a crop that is a circle, like if you're doing some kind of a profile picture. but the crop tool is very helpful as well. Nonetheless, next we have bloom. This is kind of interesting. It's kind of just for like glamour, photos, and different things. But what's cool is you're able to go in and use the mask tool, which is a tool that you will use a ton. And I use it a lot in my I think it's like how to change any color in a photo. I'll link that video as well in the cards and down below. But what's awesome is you're able to just say, oh, this is the part of the photo that I want to be affected by this specific edit. So then I can turn it way up and you can see that it's only being done to that top part that I edited. And if I go and say, oh, I want the card also to have this glamour feel to it, then I mask that and it becomes more exposed, more shown off, more of that glamour feel. But what's really cool is like even just doing a quick little edit like this, if I hit the bloom thing and I go here to this mask and I'm just gonna add it here, I can add it to the vehicle. And what's super neat, and you can take a lot of time to make it look a whole lot better, but you're able to make that reflection just that much stronger, that much more impactful, where you can compare it to the original, or you can make it try to stand out even more. So there's times and a place to use it, but Photoscape X wanted it to be on the just the first thing that you see, the edit tab. So what's awesome is next you have HDR, and that's just going to try to get more color, more vibrancy, trying to expose other areas and trying to pull back some colors in others to make it look more dynamic. So you have the original and then you have the dynamic. And in this case, it looks pretty cool because the green in the trees look better, it looks more vibrant. And down here it's also cool because you're able to see the color map as well, and being able to see what happens there. So it's nice to see that changing colors, being able to see the HDR effect. Make it a bit more vibrant. All right, next you have quick menu. Quick menu is super cool because you're able to go into here and you're able to make all these quick changes. So let's say you look at this photo and instantaneously you say it is too bright for whatever reason, and you click on it. You can go to brightness, or you can go to darken, you can go deepen, you can go to darken highlights. But let's say you just want to darken it and I just want to do a medium amount of darkness. It added darkness there. We look at the original, we go to this one, it's darker. And those are just these super quick things you're able to do. And you say, I want to turn the clarity up 50%. And the clarity goes up 50%, and sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't work great. But nonetheless, it applies that effect just automatically, and it's just for quick use. If you really get to using things a lot, it can be a real help to you. So let's say you always crop your photos 1 by 2, and you're like, I wanted to do that on every photo. You know, that's a quick menu thing, and sometimes it can be helpful. Some people don't use it at all. Next, you have some quick different filters you're able to do. Like, I want to automatically grayscale this photo, see what it looks like grayscaled, or sepia. How does that look? And you know, there's some other ones like black and white or different things. This one is where it's basically switching it completely, and you're like, okay, why would you have that? For some artistic reasons that they have it there. It's a fun option, and Photoscape X is basically a program that says, I just want to give you a ton of options so you can mess around and do a ton with it. Next, you're able to go over here. We have up here, you can hit favorite, so you can edit your favorite, editing your favorite items, which is kind of neat. So let's say for explanation purposes, let's say you absolutely love the blur tool. Let's say you love the blur tool. You can add that. So you're able to save some favorites in here if you don't want to navigate through to find them. That'll save some time. Then over here you have some macros, and that's something that I'll have to explain more down the road, but basically it's a series of different edits that you can say run all these things at one time and go for it. Next, into adjustments. Into adjustments, there's all these different adjustments, and there's a ton of them. So we have this one, which is the auto color. This is where we're able to get some recoloring of different objects. We're able to go over here, and it's basically saying if you didn't feel like the color worked, potentially this tool will be able to automatically do it for you. Sometimes it'll work great, sometimes it won't. Next, auto level. Basically, it's going to look at the colors in the spectral map, and it's going to say, we think it needs to be like this. and maybe it's because of skin tones, maybe it's just to lighten up an image, but you're able to go in and click this stuff. And what's awesome is there's also some different presets, so you can do low, medium, high if you feel that ended up working out and you just want to add more or add less. So this photo, I believe, is pretty well exposed. It's an outdoor image taken by a good camera, so there's not going to be too much auto changing. There's things like auto contrast, and that's going to jump in, be able to make those different adjustments, but it's still just doing it automatically. And on this page where it's edit, a lot of the times it is just doing it across the entire photo. It's not just doing a specific part unless if it has the mask tool as well. So going through with some of these other ones, we have this one here, and this one makes it look really interesting. I'm trying to read what it is. It's like surrealistic. I don't know, but kind of a wacky tool. Sometimes, like I used in one of my past videos, a software is like a box of chocolate. Sometimes you will absolutely love certain chocolates. Sometimes there will be some that you just throw away. But be thankful that you have a selection, because maybe you'll find a new favorite. So you have sharpen, which will help to sharpen up the images, help to sharpen up the image. If you sharpen it up too much, it can become grainy and can be a mess, but you can use that at different times to help yourself out if you're trying to get a little bit more sharpness, because maybe an image was slightly blurry or slightly fuzzy, and maybe it'll help out at different times. So through some of these other adjustments, we're able to see that some of them work super great, and some of them are just ones you want to play around with. There are some down here where you want to be able to go into some pro options, and I will show you guys a few of those towards the end of the video. But the adjustment tab, there's a lot there. One that I absolutely love is the color fill tool, where you're able to just hit a mask of a certain item, and then you're able to go and overlay different colors. So you're able to darken, lighten, but you're also able to change the colors as well. I changed the color of my vehicle in a past video called change anything in a photo, and in there I changed the color of my vehicle. So with the adjustments out of the way, we're going to go down to effects. Effects are neat because you're able to do different things like, oh, these are the edges of the photo, and it's kind of interesting because then you're able to kind of see more of the text that he's writing with the can of shaving cream. You're also able to do other things like underwater, where things are just kind of moving and kind of crazy. So if you wanted to make his face look super weird, you could do that. It's kind of an interesting thing, but if you were trying to make something look more wavy or look more interesting, that might be a way to do some things. Wave, make it look like there's been like a drop in a puddle that's gone across the entire photo. You're able to move the selection point of that, whether it is right on the can of spray, on the can of shaving cream or something like that. But it's one of those tools, once again, that kind of neat, and sometimes you use it, sometimes you won't. Down here to transform, you can transform the image by stretching the photo at different points, and you're like, okay, what in the world is this for? But sometimes you need a little bit of a stretch. Maybe you need to widen something out, especially if it's more of an art type project and not so much of a picture of somebody who's actually doing stuff. So with all that being said, there's just a ton in here that you're able to go and make these different changes, different effects. You know, it looks kind of neat, and sometimes it works really well, but it can be definitely a lot. So with that being said, that's the edit tab. So there's a lot in there, but I hope you guys can make use of it. Next, you have the color tab. This is where you're able to go in and make a lot of different color adjustments and changes. And what's awesome with this is there is the mask tool. So if you just want to make this adjustment and change just to a certain part of an image, you can go and select here and say, okay, right here, I want to brighten this up, and I want to brighten it up a ton. You can. So it's neat because you're able to go and selectively change and edit things. So if you want to take the shadow off of his face, it might take you some time, but if you do it correctly using this color tool, you can go in and mask and say, oh yes, I'm just getting the side of his face. I'm going to be careful with how much I'm brightening it, but I'm able to brighten it up so it doesn't look like there's as harsh of a shadow, and then you're able to get more of the expression from just having more detail that's easier to see, and you're not having to look through a shadow there. So you went from, well, let me just zoom in here for you guys. So you went from this with a bit of a shadow to this with less of a shadow. So you guys, that's something neat that you're able to do here in the color. You're also just able to, if you don't have a mask selected, and you're just gonna do it simply, you can go and you brighten up the entire image, and you darken the entire image, deepen, vibrance, clarity, HDR, you know, all these different things you're able to do, and you're able to edit these photos and make them look way different. And the helpful thing is that you got even more tools down here. You have the more tab, and you have exposure, gamma correction, brightness, blacks, whites, hues, clay, red, magenta, green, yellow, blue. Like, you're able to do all this stuff, and it ends up being just so chock full, and you got so many tools available, and once again, it's completely free. So that is the color tab. You could be in there for a long time making some edits to a photo. Next, over here you have film. There are some neat different filters that you're able to use. And what's awesome is you're able to change the amount, like say, oh, I like this one, but I want to make it just a small amount, or I want to make it a ton. You can make those different changes, and it doesn't end up ruining the photo too much, because you can just look for a little bit of an artistic flair by adding something like that. You're also able to go into here and do different two-tones, different overlays, so you can get some texture in there. You are also able to do like, oh, other textures, like making it look like it's an old photo. You can add some dirt to it. You can add some different textures. And sometimes texture can be a really cool thing if you have a photo that's very old. Adding some texture can actually make the photo look higher quality than what it actually is. There's some neat tricks that I've done in the past, and I'll definitely have to make a video on that in the future. But that's basically film. It's just different filters. Just think Instagram, and that's what it is. Next, we have lights, and lights are really fun here. We're able to go into here, and we're able to click something like that, and you're able to say, oh, how much brightness is going to be on there. Oh, what's the scale? Like, how big, or where are these dots going to be? And I just really like it because you're able to add a little bit of a flair, a little bit of a creative look at what this is. You're able to flip them, move them, turn them, and it's neat to add a little bit of this from time to time, because you can make stuff look pretty cool by just adding a little bit of some light. Or in this one, you got some like different lasers and stuff. Okay, that's a pro feature. All right, but you're able to move things around, add some different lights. You're able to change the tint of it to like a blue. So let's say you wanted to make the photo look even more blue for whatever reason. You're able to do that, so then just the sky, instead of it just looking normal, you can have kind of a mood to it as well, because I'm deciding to, you know, put it in the corner. All right. Very good. So there's some different times where it looks really cool. There's other times where it just looks awful. But you guys, like I said, it's another fun tool that they threw in completely for free, and I honestly really enjoy it. So different things. You got some different lens flares. It's if you wanted it to make it look like there's the sun out in the sky, and it's just like casting a shadow of light. It's like, how do I get that in my photos? It's like, well, actually, you can just edit it in later if you really wanted to. Change the brightness, change the intensity, change the scale, and you can do all sorts of stuff. Different bokeh effect to get some of those really cool droplets in the background. What's really neat is when you can layer your image, and you have the background, then you have the subject, and you can put these dots in that background, and the subject is just completely free of all of those different dots and stuff, so it's not covering him up as well. But fun tools nonetheless. I think it's pretty neat. Next we have frames. Frames, to be honest, all I do with frames is I click over here to borders, and I make a neat border on here, and I usually change the stroke to like 10, and I export it as a PNG, and I get this nice photo that I can put in a video, or I can do different stuff with it. But there are other things with it. You can add different frames to give it a certain look and a certain style. And actually, you know, down here there's some that are colored, and those are actually kind of cool. I do have to admit, some of those do look kind of neat. So there you go. You can do some different frames in there. You can also do some different shapes if you're into that for whatever reason. But yeah, for me personally, I just do borders, and I really like it a lot. There's a lot of different changes and different things you're able to do with these things. But yeah, like, oh, I want the roundness to be more or less, or more or less. And oh, what do I want the background to be? Do I want it just to be plain, or do I want to add like some really neat background? And you can, you know, really get into it and do all sorts of different stuff, and it's pretty neat. So that is the frames. Just remember that when you are saving these out, if you are choosing to have if you do choose to do this out, and you do choose to not have any form of a background on an image like this, make sure you are saving as, and when you're saving it out, you're going and selecting PNG, so then you're able to save it. And when you save it out, just for a demonstration, when you save the image out, and it actually does save out completely, you're able to click into it, and you have the image, and it is a transparent image that you're able to put up on a website, or you're able to use for like a background like what I have here for my wallpaper on my computer. But yeah, you're able to make those different changes. Let's revert back to the beginning, and let's go over here to insert. Insert is a whole new thing, which, you know, it's a unique interface for Photoscape X, but if you go into insert, all these different things pop up. We're going to begin up here. So we have stickers. Basically, you can look through these different stickers, and some of them are going to be pro stickers. Basically, you can click on them, and you're able to put them on the photo somewhere. So like if you're doing different graphic design stuff, or making up some kind of poster or invite thing, sometimes you can find some photos that work really well. If not, you can insert them, which is what I do a lot. I go over to here to images, and I can go and insert, whether it's a photo of myself, or maybe I go back a ways and I say, hey, I want to go and put in a photo of Stefan right here, and I'm going to put his photo in. And because I saved it with that border, and I saved it as a PNG, it works really nicely, and I'm still able to make some changes to it, even as just a photo pasted into this photo that I'm working in. I'm able to go in and put maybe more of a drop shadow on it if I wanted to do that. I'm able to change it to a gradient. It kind of destroys the picture. You can also go in and transform. So there's just all sorts of things that you can do to make these different edits and changes, but you're able to insert an image or some kind of graphic into your photos using the insert, and then going to images and putting that in. Next, you have figure. What you're able to do is you're able to put in these different geometric shapes, and in there you're able to go in and change, okay, do I want it to be a fiery gradient? I want this way, I want this way. But sometimes when you want to get different designs and stuff in there, this can be the easiest way to get a geometric shape that you're looking for. And truth to be told, there's a lot of them. So like, say you were looking for an arrow, and you go online and you look for an arrow, and you can't find one that looks really great. Here's an arrow, and guess what? You can go in and you can say, yeah, I want the arrow to be black. And I'm sure that if I go into here to figures, I can find an arrow that's solid. So then it's able to, so the arrow is actually able to be filled in. It's able to be filled in at whatever color you want. And one thing that I absolutely love about this software is the color picker. The color picker is amazing. You have all these different colors. You can go by different shades, different groups, just different sliders. The circle wheel, you can do even it based on like the RGB, you know, different codes. If you have the codes for certain colors you're looking for, or also you're able to click this color picker, and you're able to select what color. So like a skin tone, or like the sky, or the ground. But also you can go and pick the color of anything. So let's say you are wanting to pick the color of your tab up here, this gray. You can select that. or you can pick whatever you want. My wife is blowing up my phone right now. She is actually working late. Oh yes, she's letting me know not to forget to pick her up, so I will not forget to pick her up. So with that all being said, you guys, that was just a ton of different things you're able to put in. Next you have text. Text is awesome. You're able to go and type in, oh yes, this is a YouTube video or something. You're able to put in text. You're able to go through here and select what kind of text, what font you want. You can add fonts as well, just through adding fonts to your computer itself, and then it automatically shows up when you turn on Photoscape X the next time. But you're able to do that. You're able to change the size, however big or however small you want, italicize it, justify it to whatever you want, make the give it, you know, a outline, or don't give it an outline. Give it some kind of a gradient or something inside of here. You can do that as well. And there's all sorts of different options. And these aren't even the paid options. Next, what you have in here is you can make the color of it change, and you can go and select all sorts of different things. And there's pro options for that as well, and change the hue or the saturation or these different things. And it's pretty neat how much detail you can go in and get into these different colors. Next, you have over here into more options. You can do a blend mode, a darken mode, so you can make it transparent to an effect, and overlay, so you can actually still see some of the texture of the original image through the photo that you're working with. You're also able to do a drop shadow to make it look more bold, or maybe get more visible on your page. An outer glow, you're able to do it at another type of a gradient you're able to use as well. There's just so much you can do with text, but some pro tips that I want to share with you guys is you're able to hit the duplicate, so you're able to keep the same settings, the same size as you go and you write in down below, you know, it's like, oh yeah, wedding. So, you know, you can go and you can make all these different changes. Also, what's neat is you're able to put these more forward or more backwards by hitting more back or more forward if you have a bunch of different things. So if you want, oh, I want the wedding to be behind here, I can hit backwards and then it goes behind. Or you can make it go forward and make it go forward. So text, there's a lot in there that you can do. There's a lot of crazy things you can do and adjust. You can also just change some different angles and things. But I will let you guys mess with that a ton. I should make a whole video on text, but text is awesome in Photoscape X. So reverting back from all that stuff, there's a magnification button, which is amazing. What you're able to do is right now it's magnifying the exact center of the photo. But what you do is you grab this blue dot and you can slide it over to magnify the exact point that you want. So right here, I'm able to move this, and I'm able to show down here, you know, way more zoomed in. I'm able to show that, oh, look at him, he's spraying it right there. And what's cool is that I'm able to use these different filters, these different like rings that you're able to put around here, and it makes it look pretty neat because you're able to actually see more of what's actually happening in the photo if you wanted to zoom in like on his face or something like that, and you can make it as big as you want. So if you're wanting to draw attention to something and zoom in on something, it's a great thing for like YouTube thumbnails or for just zooming in on a subject in general. So that's something that I really like, and there's some pretty fun pro things you're able to use as well. Pro magnifier kind of templates, but that is the magnifier. Next you have the filter. So this is one which is kind of neat because you're able to like put a mosaic on something. So let's say if Stefan didn't want his face in this video, I can or in the photo, I can put this mosaic thing over it, so then you can't tell, and you can change the strength of it so it can be pretty close but still not noticeable. You're also able to do it instead of a mosaic. You're able to do things like a blur, just blurring that face. You're also able to do other things like jitter, just different things that make things blurred or hazed out or something like that. So if you need to remove something in an image, you still can. But yeah, it works pretty well, but that's something you can also insert into the photo. Next, we have, unless I missed anything. Oh, I did miss some stuff. Here's a few more things that I missed. You can also do things like draw arrows, you're able to make boxes, you're able to make circles, you're able to make filled in circles, and you can change the color, you can transform them, you can add gradients, you can do all those different things, and it's a lot. One thing that's neat is over here on layers, you can see all the different layers that you have on here, so you can see that, oh, this is where I have that jitter thing, this is where I have the arrow, so I can go and I can drag them along so I can see which one is at the front of the photo and which one's at the very back. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say I have this circle, and let's say it is a green circle, and this square is a blue square. Okay, so let's say I wanted this blue square to be in front, and let's say the edit gets super crazy and there's so many things going around all over the place, and let's see, I can just go and I can drag this and I can move it to the very top, and sure enough it becomes the front of the image. My wife is calling me at the moment. Oh, in the middle of making a video about how to use Photoscape X for professionals. I'm going to call you guys professionals in here. I'll be there to pick you up. Love you. Alright. And I will give her a call back when I'm finished up with the video. Nonetheless, so you're able to do that to move some different layers in the image. Play around with that. It's pretty cool. You're also able to do other things like a duplicate, and you're able to merge all the layers together if you wanted to. Personally, I think that's a bad idea, but you can. So then over here you have tools. Tools is pretty great because you have different things like the draw tool. There are some different brushes you're able to use, and you're able to change the color and the strength and the opacity, different things like that. You're also able to go back and subtract using, just able to use it like an eraser. And this is why, if you have pen support or touchscreen on a computer, honestly, this could be a really cool thing to do for more drawing or graphic design, things like that. But that's the draw tool. You also have the scatter tool. I absolutely love it. Let's just pick a color. Let's pick the blue in the tie. So check this out, guys. In the scatter tool, you're able to pick the brush size. You're able to pick the strength. You're able to pick the aspect ratio, the color range. But you're able to click over here, and you're able to get these really cool dots. And I'm just going to turn the strength up higher. But basically, you're able to add some different things to fill in some empty space in a photo. In this photo, it doesn't work super great, but you're able to add this in. You're able to do triangles or hearts or squares or these different things, and it just makes things look more festive at different times. So it's kind of neat. I love using it when I can, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Other things in here, able to use the paintbrush, so it seems a bit strong. The hardness is way too high. But yeah, similar to the draw tool. Other things in here, you can use the eraser if you want to actually just erase something to make that part of the image transparent. You can also use things like the cutout tab, which we'll be getting to in a little bit, but that's something that is really helpful as well. Next, you have other things like sharpen. If you wanted to select and just sharpen up just his face, you can click that and it will sharpen it. Sometimes it'll over sharpen it, so you got to be careful with how high you set your strength to. But this tools tab, simply put, is helping you to be able to edit just specific portions of the photo, where in the edit tab you were doing a huge amount of the photo where you're editing basically the entire thing. This tool tab is where you're just editing super small parts. Some of the things in here that I always love showing off to people, so you have the spot healing tool. Basically, you're able to go into here, and let's say there's something that I didn't want. So let's say there are, let's see, what can I edit? Let's say I do not like the pull in this photo. I'm able to go over here, click on this, and it's going to do its best to remove the pull out of the image. And if you see, undo, redo, you're able to see that the pull is gone. Now you can also see there's some different splotches, and sometimes it works super great, sometimes it doesn't work super great. I would encourage you guys to check out my video called removing anything from a photo in Photoscape X, and you're able to do that, and that shows a lot more detail into this tool. But if you're wanting to remove something like that very quickly, you know what, you can, and it's using the spot healing tool. Remember, it's just editing a certain part of the image. There's other things like remove stain, or like removing a mole off a person's face. There's also the clone stamp tool, which is a pro tool, which I absolutely love, and I'll show you guys in just a second. But the clone stamp tool is incredible, but you have to learn how to use it. There's other tools here like the liquify tool. I made an entire video on that. So with that being said, there's a ton of stuff in here that you can edit, that you can use to work through different photos, but that really is a deep dive into a bunch of different tools. And if you have any specific tools you guys want me to take a closer look at, definitely let me know down below. So with that being said, we're going to go to the cutout tool, and we're going to drag this photo in. And in the cutout tool, it's great. The goal of the cutout tool is to be able to cut certain objects out of the photo if you're trying to remove things like that. So what's awesome is you have the magic eraser, the lasso, and the brush tool. You're able to click in here, and based on the tolerance, you're able to remove just tons and tons of unnecessary objects in this photo. If in this photo I'm just wanting to get myself and my wife, which, you know, is basically the goal. You know, remove all the other distractions. It's just her and I on our special day. Going over to the brush tool, if I make it really big, it makes it really easy to just cut out a ton of things. Remember that if there's a lot of different colors and changes and things, the magic erase tool can only do so much because it's only looking at certain colors. And as soon as it hits a color that isn't close to it, it will stop, and that's why you can't go and erase everything super quickly. But some photo editing software, it's just absolutely not possible to do a cutout, which is why even if you have to do some of it manually, you know what, honestly, it's going to be worth it. So what's cool is that as I go in here, I can continue to remove things. I can go to the magic eraser, and I can try to edit more of the object, more of the things, so we can just get just me and my wife in this photo. And you know, it's something that it's going to take some time to remove all of this different stuff, but if you're patient, you can remove all this stuff, and the final result, you can edit it out as a PNG, and you'll just be you and her, and you're able to put it in to a different photo if you want to do that. I would, of course, point back to my face switch video to show how to use the cutout tool even more extensively. But basically, you go in here, you make that edit, you make that change, and then you go over, you hit save, and it's going to save it as a PNG. And even though I didn't take forever on this edit, I can show you guys what it looks like. Basically, I can click on this, and it's showing that I removed the other parts of the image. There's still, of course, more to remove, but I'm in the process of removing all those different objects that I don't want. Unfortunately, in this photo in particular, I actually made a mistake. So I can see up here, I'm actually removing some of my neck and some of my hair here. I'd have to go back and fix that. And what's awesome with Photoscape X is I'm able to go in here to the brush tool and hit subtract. I'm able to go in and see, oh look, I accidentally messed that up. I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to subtract that so I can get that part back if I notice that I've taken out too much. So that is the cutout tool, and I really enjoy it. Next, we have the batch tool. This one, I don't use it very often, so I might not be the best person to explain this one, but basically you throw your photos in, and let's say I want to crop all of them to 16:9. I click over here to crop, and looking at this, it's like, how much do you want cropped off of each photo? It's like, okay, sure, I can do that. And it's like, neat. That's how I can do that, right? But the thing is, this is something where you're trying to change and edit just tons and tons and tons of photos. So let's say I want to auto color change all of these, and I want to change them all to grayscale, and I want to do all of them at the same time. You can go over and say, all right, I'm going to save out all of these, and I'm going to save all of them as grayscale. So like if you're trying to do something really quick and like you have all your photos together and you're like, I need to make one specific change, you know, it's the same as if you went through the editor tab and you went through and you changed every single one methodically. You can do all of this, but it's just saying, I'm just going to do it all to all of them super quick. So if you're into that, you can. Just remember that it's going to take some playing around with to learn the different tools, how to do these different resizes, and how to make it look pretty good. But the batch tool is there, and it's a pretty helpful thing to be able to go through and save out all those photos very quickly. Next, we have the collage. The collage tool is great. Basically, you drop a photo in, and then you go and you say, oh, I want to drop this photo in now, and basically that's it. You go and you can select different ones where you're like, oh, here's one that looks like that, here's one that looks like that, here's one that looks like that. You can just you can go and you can switch the photos by dragging the other one in or switching different things up, and you can change how big of a photo you want to export. Like, oh, I want them to both be 1,000 by 1,000, so it's a pretty you know, modest size photo, but you're able to make those different changes. What's awesome is you're actually able to change these different points if you wanted to. So there's a lot of different changes you can make if you're looking to make something that has a little bit more flexibility to it. It's pretty nice, and you're able to do it where it's like, I want to add 9 different photos, 7 different photos, 5 different photos. It can be pretty extreme. You can make some custom backgrounds, and yeah, there's just a lot you're able to do in there. So if you're someone who loves collages, that's a quick way to make some collages of some great photos. Next, you have the combine tool. This is really helpful if you're using like the clone stamp tool or different things. But let's say I have this photo here and I have this photo here, and I want both of the photos to become just one photo. I can put those 2 photos in, or as many photos as I want, and I can hit save, and I can go to save and the export, and sure enough, depending on the size that I want the photo to end up being, you know, I can say keep it original size, and it'll end up being this super huge photo, but I can have it where they're just side by side. What's helpful with this is, let's say down the road you were making an edit, you can use the clone stamp tool to grab a part from one photo and put it on another photo. I'll make another video about that down the road, but basically it's how to make group photos super easy. You just take a bunch of pictures and you can paste a person's face onto their own face, but in a different photo. It's kind of a crazy thing. I'll show you guys, and hopefully I'll have that link down below as soon as I make it. All right, next, that was the combine tool. Hopefully you can find some good uses for it. But next you have the create GIF. Basically, you're able to put a few different photos in, you know, and they're from different angles, and there's different ways how to make them look really neat, change the different amount of time, like the duration, make them change faster, make them change slower. You can say, oh, I just want kind of the top of the image, or I want this or that. You know, it helps if all the images are the same size. It helps if things are pretty uniform. But basically, if you're wanting to make a GIF, you totally can with, and I'm just going to take this one out. It's like you can change between these 2 or these 3, and you can use it, and then you could send it out to people, like over Messenger or over a text or something, and they can get that GIF, but it can be something custom that you made yourself. So the creating GIF tool is there. I don't use it very much because I don't really make GIFs, but maybe I should. Maybe I'll make a video on it. Let me know if you want me to do that. Next, print. I don't print too many photos straight off my computer just because I don't have the hardware for it. But basically, you can make these wallet size. You can make these super big, super small. You can do all sorts of different sizes. You do custom sizes and things if you want. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, you are just printing something, and printing can be a headache. But hopefully in here, you're able to find some ways how to pretty easily make some different adjustments, make it the right size, make it exactly what you want, and then print it out. Next over here, the very last tab is the Tools tab, and in the Tools tab, you're able to do a screen capture where you can capture the screen of your entire screen, the window, capture a region, a time screen capture. But basically, this helps you to be able to capture a photo if you want to share it with other people. Personally, I use Control Alt and print screen on your keyboard. But if you don't have that option and it's hard for you to do a screenshot, you're able to click that and it takes a full screenshot. And then you can actually see the screenshot right there in the editor right as quickly as you did it. So there's my home screen, capture window. And you're like, oh, and there you go, another thing got captured. But what's also neat is that, let's say you have an image, like let's say I was out here and I was doing this and I click over into here, hit Control Alt print screen. I can go back into Photoscape and I can hit Control V or just paste, and I can paste that window into the editor. So it's really quick. There's some really fast ways to make those edits and those change happen, but that's screen capture. You can do color picker, which helps you to just pick a color, and once again, it's anywhere on the entire interface of your computer, and you're able to get that specific color. And it says press the space bar to select the color. And you actually do have to have this, like, but yeah, you pick it and it tells you the exact code for what it is. You can copy it and then you can use it in your project. So that is another one of the tools. Rename is if you're wanting to rename a certain photo or a certain project, or like how you want it to automatically send out your photos when you save them. Just kind of a neat tool there. You're also able to go into here and go to the preferences, and in the preferences you're able to do like the dark theme, or you can do the light theme. I'm personally someone who likes the dark theme, but you know, that's just me. But yeah, you're able to change some different themes in there. I'm sorry, I just had to change it back to the dark theme. Okay, next you got some different things like the language. You can do some different things like on startup, or how do they do some different editing for like some raw images or things like that. If you have a ton of thumbnail cache, you can purge that if you want to, or reset things. Nonetheless, that's what you have there in that settings tab. Other things you guys might want to see. Let's see. Let's go over to the Pro Photoscape to show you some of those Pro features that we weren't able to see earlier. Let's hop into this. So basically in the Pro feature, let's just jump right into the editor. Let's grab, oh, not that photo. That's one that we just made. And it's kind of random. Let's just go to favorites and let's pick a photo. Here's like a super random thing. I just made this thumbnail and I did it completely from scratch, guys. I absolutely loved it. So basically all this stuff, like if you click on this, this is a layer, that is a layer, that's a layer, that's a layer, that's an image, that's an image, that's another image, that's all that stuff. That background is blue for no reason. It should have stayed white, but nonetheless, I'm able to move all this stuff around because it's a project file that I left saved, and I can edit it as much as I want. All of it can actually be done in the normal Photoscape X, not the Pro model, but let me show you some of the Pro features that we're able to do in here. So going into here, adjustments, down here at the bottom, there's the black and white thing. And actually, let me just do this real quick, guys. I'm going to bake all these layers just because it's going to be a pain in the neck if I keep moving all these layers. And if you have used Photoscape X for a long time, you understand why. So I'm just going to drop this in just so it's just a normal image now and not a project, so these aren't movable anymore. But let's go down here, black and white slider. I'm able to change some of these different adjustments and things. So if I wanted it to be a black and white image, there you go. I've got it, and I've got adjustment tools. There's a lot of control there. So that's pretty helpful. Next, you have different effects. But yeah, you have these different Pro Tools, but of course the Pro Tool that everyone wants is the clone stamp tool. You click on the clone stamp tool, you can click on like this caution cone, and I can paste the caution cone now at another point in the photo, and it's pretty neat. Now what's helpful is that you're able to do that for anything, like some text or for something else. You can also change the strength of it, so it doesn't have to be like super in your face type thing. But that's a neat tool that you're able to use. That is a pro tool that you can't get without the pro version. Other things that you would do in the pro thing that you can't do anywhere else. Let's see, another photo of myself. I'm sure in the frames you have more options for frames you can select, and if you want a monkey hugging you, you can. In the lighting, there's some more lights you're able to change, and those lights actually look pretty cool, honestly. Not for specifically like that photo, but like there's some neat things in here. If you want to give a different color, a different hue, a different lighting setup thing, all sorts of different other, you know, effects or film effects, you know, and you just have so many more options and filters and different things. Nonetheless, you guys, the Pro is awesome. It gives you specific tools that are really helpful in specific situations. In my personal take is that only use Pro if you have the money, but you don't want to start paying a monthly subscription for something like Photoshop and Lightroom. So that is kind of my take on Photoscape X Pro, trying to show you the ins and outs of everything in here. There is so much more I could go in and cover, but I wanted to run through all this different stuff, run through the editor a bit more, so I could give you guys a better taste of what this software is, how you're able to use it, and what you're able to do with it. But you guys, if you have any other questions, definitely leave a like down below, subscribe so you can get the follow-up videos, but definitely give me a question down in the comments, give me a project, give me something to work on so I can continue to show you guys how the software is really helpful, as I'm also learning, you know, Photoshop right now. So I'm able to show the comparison of why to use this free photo editing software versus a paid photo editing software. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it didn't scare you away of me running through all this different stuff too quickly. But you guys, definitely let me know how I can help you down the road in the area of photo editing, because my goal is to help you guys create meaningful media and to help you guys do that as easily as possible using the software that's available today. So you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.